Hey guys! Okay, if you have not watched it yet, go ahead and stop here and go back and watch the Schoolhouse Rock video. Today we are talking about grammar, lesson 17, and we are talking all about adjectives. So adjectives are your description words. Colors, sizes, shapes, all that fun stuff. So if you will go ahead and get out your purple grammar book, the Strategies for Writers soft cover purple book, and turn to page 45 there at the bottom. 45. If we look in the gray box, it says, adjectives describe nouns and pronouns. Some adjectives tell what kind. Others, like many and six, tell how many. The adjective this, that, these, and those tell which one. These are also called demonstrative adjectives. The articles a, an, and the are also adjectives. Okay, so having said all of that, which is a mouthful, again, make it simple. Adjectives are your description words. So let's look at the top. The Outer Banks of North Carolina are beautiful sandy islands. However, the treacherous currents of that region have challenged sailors for hundreds of years. So you're going to circle two words that tell what the islands are like, and then circle one word that tells what the currents are like. So go ahead and pause here and make a total of 3 circles, 2 that talk about the islands and 1 that talks about the currents. Okay, so you should have circled beautiful, sandy, so those are the 2 that describe the islands, and treacherous. And treacherous describes the currents. So what kind of islands were they? They were beautiful and sandy islands. What kind of currents were they? They were treacherous currents. Okay, so let's go ahead and look down at part 1 of your grammar work here. Okay, so part 1 is what you are going to do first for your at-home work for lesson 17. It says, some adjectives in these sentences appear in boldface type. So you have multi-step directions here, so listen carefully. What I would probably do if it were me is I would make a little key on the right-hand side. I would say, circle each boldface adjective that tells what kind. So I would draw a circle and then next to it write what kind. Underline each boldface adjective that tells how many. So I do an underline equals how many. And then draw a box around each boldface adjective that tells which one. So draw a box equals which one. And then our 4th step is underline. So make 2 underlines equals underline each boldface article, which is a, an, or the, twice. So 2 underlines equals an article or a, an, or the. I would also take the time right now to stop and memorize that a, an, and the are articles. Again, that is information that is not going to change. So I'd go ahead, what are the articles? A, an, and the. Okay? So now you should have your legend that tells you what you're going to do for each type of adjective. So let's look at number 1 together. One of the United States' most famous historical sites was built to warn sailors of the dangerous waters of the Outer Banks. So the first word that is in bold is the. Which of the 4 types should you do for the? If you said that it's an article, then you should underline it twice, and you are correct. Because a, an, and the are articles, and they will always be articles. Okay, the next adjective is famous. So, it's the most famous historical sites. So what type of historical sites were they? They were famous historical sites. So does it tell us what kind, how many? Well, it doesn't give us a number, so we know it's not how many. And does it tell us which one? It's one of the famous, so it doesn't really tell us which one. So that only leaves what kind. So what kind of historical sites were they? They were famous historical sites. So you're going to circle famous. And then the next boldface adjective is dangerous. Dangerous is describing the word waters. So what kind of waters were they? They were dangerous waters. That makes sense. The other options, let's just look at those just to eliminate them. Does it tell us how many? No, dangerous does not give us a number. Does it tell us which one? No, it's very general. But it does describe the waters. It is not an article, because we know that the articles are a, an, and the. So that brings us right back to our first one in our key of it tells us what kind, so we need to circle it, okay? Again, it sounds like a lot of steps, but as you're reading it and thinking through it yourself, it'll be totally fine. Just take your time and really think about each step as you go and ask yourself, what is it describing? And ask the questions. What kind? Is it telling us what kind? Is it telling us how many? Or is it telling us which one? Or is it an article? Okay, so go ahead and do numbers 1 through 12 on lesson 17, part 1, which is on page 45. Okay, so part 2 is on page 46. So we will go ahead and do that for homework today as well. So if you look at part 2, it says, complete each sentence with an appropriate adjective from the word bank or use your own word. So there are going to be more than one right answer for each question, more than likely. So again, this will be a big discussion when we get into class, and we can throw out a couple of different ideas for each blank, because the cool thing about adjectives is that there are a whole lots of descriptive words out there, okay? So let's start with number 13. People have made blank efforts to help ships near the outer bank. So let's see, we can talk about what kind of efforts have people made? How many efforts have people made? In this context, it doesn't make as much sense to use in how many context. So in an article, doesn't really make sense to use here either. So what I would look at is what kind of efforts. So go ahead and think about what kind of efforts would people have made to help ships near the Outer Banks. If we use a word from the word bank, I would probably pick heroic. So somebody acted like a hero to help the ships. So you can fill that in. Again, just make sure that the adjective you're using makes sense to help describe the noun that it's describing, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. But in the meantime, for your homework, make sure you complete lessons part 1 and part 2. Thanks, I'll see you.